Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's Heart to Heart. I'm your host, Karin Del Maestro, your health and transformation coach, breast cancer and BRCA2 thriver, and self-care expert. I've been known as by many. So today we're here and we're going to be talking about 3 ways to preserve your energy throughout the holidays, especially after a breast cancer diagnosis. Whether you are in treatment, whether you're out of treatment, this is relative. And you know what? Even if you have not received that diagnosis, this works for you too. Okay. So, as we all know, right, the holidays can be extraordinarily draining. And you may wonder why. Like, why? Why is it always so exhausting? And I think the answer isn't clear. And if you're on live with me, pop in. Feel free to say hi. I always love to know who's on with me. So, um, let me know where you're coming in from. So why are the holidays so draining? Well, I think it's probably a couple of things, right? There tends to be more activity, more social occasions. There can also be a lot of stress around the holidays. I mean, let's be real, right? A lot of stress and a lot of worry, maybe financial, maybe time, maybe energy. Could be so many different things. So, hi, Susan. Susan's on live with us, joining us. So glad that you're here, Susan. Good to see you as always. So, I just wanted to do a little diagram that is hopefully going to help you understand why the holidays are so draining. Okay, so I'm going to do a little drawing here, but forgive me because I'm not the world's best drawer. So please forgive me here. Okay, so I want you, in fact, I invite you to consider your body. And no, I'm no Picasso here, so please be kind. I want you to consider that your body is a teapot. Yeah, it's the Brit and me coming out, right? I grew up in the UK, moved to the US when I was about 22 years old, so a long time ago. But I happen to be a lover of tea, and for me, this analogy makes absolute sense, right? So I want you to think of your body as a teapot, and all of the people that are in your life that you take care of. It could be kids, it could be aging parents, it could be a significant other, it could be children, grandkids, could be people at work. Maybe you're the go to. Maybe you're the go to for all of your friends too. Okay. So we've established that our body is our teapot. And what I would like you to think of is, your energy. This is where if we're talking about it being drained, right? It's because we're sucked dry. We don't have any energy anymore. And think of our energy as the tea in that pot. Now, what happens to our energy as we go throughout the day, and especially around the holidays, right? We're taking care of everybody else. We're pouring from our teapot into everybody else's cup. And so, what happens to our level of tea in our body, in our teapot, is obviously it goes down, right? So, the question becomes, because we don't want to stop doing those things for people, right? Most of the people that are in my world and my circle, I tend to attract people who are carers, who are givers, who feel that it's their purpose to take care of others. I'm also that same way. But I've learned the key to not getting so drained. So the question becomes, right? What tops up our teapot so that we are not so drained? So that we can take care of ourselves and our loved ones. Who, if you're on live with me, who thinks that it has to be one or the other? Either we're being selfish and taking care of ourselves, or we take care of everybody else. It's mastering this balance of being able to do both that I've been able to do. Right. And it's my pleasure to be able to share this with you because this, guys, is a game changer. This is how we preserve our energy, especially around times like the holidays. But it can also be due when you're going through a difficult time. This is how we preserve our energy. Okay. So I want to talk about 3 specific ways today that are going to help you to top up your teapot over here. Right. Because the things that top up our teapot, give us more energy, and stop us feeling more drained are acts of self-care. Okay? And what I mean by that, and my definition of self-care, is perhaps a little different than a lot of other people. My definition of self-care is the conscious act that you take to promote your own physical, mental, and emotional health and well-being. I'll put it up on the screen so that you can see it. Okay, so let me repeat that, and I invite you to really think about this. Let it sink in. Self-care is the conscious act that you take to promote your own physical, mental, and emotional health and well-being. Okay. In other words, self-care is the thing that tops up the teapot to stop you from being drained. So important. This is a crucial step in staying healthy, especially around the holidays. And so let's talk about 3 ways that you can top up your teapot, right? So that you're not feeling as drained. And I don't know about you, but like, when I'm drained, I tend to isolate myself. Like I go off and snuggle up in my bed and I'm watching Bridgerton on Netflix, by the way, if you haven't seen it, a really great show. And it was, but here's a little by the by, it was filmed in Bath, in the UK, which is about 15 minutes from where I spent much of my life in the UK before I came over to the US. So little by the by there. So let's talk about these, so if we're exhausted and we're isolating ourselves, right, our mind is spinning with all the things that we should be doing but we're not because we're exhausted. We are probably snapping at people, like not tolerant, not patient, because we're exhausted and we're drained and we're resentful and we're feeling like we're just being pulled in a million different directions. And for many of us, especially after treatment has ended, we just don't have the energy anymore, right? It's so important that we are practicing this self-care to top up our teapot as much as we possibly can. Okay, so 3 ways to do this. Number 1, and this is a big one, and if you've been in my circle for a while, you know that many of the tips that I share are super simple, and they're simple for a reason. Okay, because if we are not able to consistently practice the simple things, how are we going to feel with more complex tips? I don't know about you. I'm going to feel more overloaded. I'm going to feel more pressure because I'm not able to do it because I'm exhausted. And so I like to start by building this foundation of really simple tips to focus on so that it isn't overwhelming, so that it doesn't feel like it's adding more to an already overloaded plate, right? So everything that I teach, especially my coaching programs, that's the kind of the rule that I follow. We've got to keep it simple and just keep practicing the simple things because the simple things work. They work. We just need to consistently do them. So number 1, like I said, is to hydrate. Hydrate. Because when we get tired, when we get stressed, and after 20 plus years of working in health and wellness, predominantly with women, Trust me. I see it. I see it over and over and over and over. And I'm guilty of this too. I'm looking because I don't even have my glass of water here with me today. I took it into the kitchen to fill up and I forgot to bring it with me. So here I am being guilty of not hydrating enough yet today. That's going to change because I'm going to listen to my own advice here. So hydrating, making sure we're getting enough water. One of the biggest problems when we're feeling exhausted and drained is that we're not drinking enough water. And by the way, if you're drinking a decaffeinated tea, which all of mine are, then they also count towards your water. Okay, so don't think about how much water you should be drinking. Think about just adding an extra glass a day. Okay, it's not about perfection, it's about progress. It's always about progress. So we want to make sure that we're just drinking more water than we are today. Okay, so adding in one extra glass, doesn't that feel like less pressure already? Like we have to think about it. If we're feeling stressed, if we're feeling pressure, what does that do to your energy level? Decreases it, right? Yeah. So number 2 is to make sure that you have some time alone. Many of you are, like me, an introvert. People are always surprised when I say that. But I am actually an introvert. And how do we know if we're an introvert or an extrovert? Introverts tend to recharge, in other words, top up their teapot when they spend time alone. Extroverts top up their teapot by spending times in groups and with others. So let me know in the chat, are you an introvert or an extrovert? If you're watching the replay, put hashtag replay and let me know. So if you're an introvert, we want to make sure that you do have time on your own, taking care of you. It could be doing something lovely like an Epsom salt bath. It could be reading a book. It could be doing some breath work or meditation, but some time on your own to recharge your battery. Okay? Yeah. I see that we have somebody else on that's an introvert. And by the way, I'm going live using a streaming agent called StreamYard. And wherever you see this video, then if you hit just above the video, it says allow StreamYard access to your Facebook name. If you click on that, then Facebook accesses your name, nothing else, just your name. But it lets me see who is on. Otherwise, it comes up like this, comes up as Facebook user. So I don't get to see who's on with me. So it's nice when I get to see your name. So yeah, the people that are on live with me and are popping in the chat here, all introverts, just like me. How do I know that? Because I tend to attract people who are pretty similar, right? Who care for others, who are introverts and recharge alone. So we want to make sure that the number 2 there is that we are recharging alone, right? We're not just being busy, doing. We want to make sure that we actually have like proper time to recharge. Just like we recharge our phone. We don't forget to do that, right? So think about it the same way. Recharging your battery is like topping up your teapot. Now, the third thing, that's 4 fingers, Karen. The third thing, I don't know, guys, seriously, some days. So the third thing that I invite you to try to top up your teapot, actually, this one probably doesn't top it up as much. What this one does, this particular tip is going to help you to say no. Who has trouble saying no? Put me in the chat. I used to have a terrible time saying no. I really did. I used to really struggle with it. I thought that I grew up really just wanting to make everybody else feel happy, wanting to make everybody else feel good. And in doing that, we don't tend to say no, right? And so it gets difficult. We don't want to hurt people's feelings. We don't want to disappoint people. We don't want to let people down. Yeah. I see. Hi, Jackie. Good to see you. Susan sharing that, yeah, she's getting better. Great. Good. I'm telling you, I'm really weird when it comes to saying no. Like, I celebrate when I hear a woman that is saying no, right? Who's standing up for what you want, who's standing up for what you need, saying no so that you're not draining your teapot more and more and more and more and more. And it's not easy. In fact, there's a skill to it. And I'm going to be actually teaching a class this upcoming Saturday on learning to say no with ease and grace. Ease and grace. Okay. So look out. I'll pop the link in the chat a little bit later after we hang up here. If you want to join in on that class, it's free. And we're going to be talking about how to easily say no with grace and ease so that we're not getting all tongue-tied, so that we're not saying yes when we're already exhausted and drained. And I know it's not easy. Like I said, it used to be me. I used to have such a hard time saying no. Such a hard time saying no. So today, let's just recap, right? Today we've learned why the holidays are so draining, because so often we're pouring from our teapot into everybody else's cups. We're giving, giving, giving. We're doing, doing, doing for others, okay? Not a bad thing. As long as we keep our teapot topped up so that it's not detrimental to our health and well-being, mentally and physically, right? When our teapot is drained, when we don't have energy, like I said, we're snapping at people. We isolate ourselves. We just don't want to be around people, especially when we're introverts, especially. So the key is to do the things that we can to keep our energy topped up, to keep us healthy, to keep us, ticking along up here. And this is the whole purpose of this video today. So when we top up our teapot, we learned that we can take care of ourselves and others. Doesn't have to be one or the other. We do get to do both. And trust me, we do, because I do this every single day. There's no way that I would be here doing what I do for the breast cancer community if I did not take care of me first. Not only have I been through breast cancer and lived with a BRCA2 genetic mutation, but in the last 10 years, I've been through a life-altering car accident. Life-altering, everything turned upside down. The loss of both my parents and my younger brother. Moved 7 times in 8 years. Had Zika virus, shingles. My husband was in a motorcycle accident, almost losing his right arm. We didn't know for 2 months if they were going to be able to save it. Then breast cancer and BRCA2. And most recently, we just went through Hurricane Ian. The only way that I have been able to get through all of these things, and you've got your own story and the things that you've been through too. I know you do. I know I am not alone in this. But the way that I've been able to keep my energy up so that I get to serve this amazing community is by taking care of me first. Topping up my teapot every single day throughout the day. It's very conscious for me. And it takes practice, right? It's not about perfection. It takes practice. So again, those 3 things that we want to be focusing on. Number 1, staying hydrated, making sure that you're drinking enough water. Number 2, if you are an introvert like me, like the others that are on live with me right now, then some time alone, guilt-free, reading, having a nice bath, going for a walk. but time meditating, breath work, doing things that fill up your teapot, very consciously making the choice to do that, making the choice to do it. Okay. Even it's funny because, in that time alone, like for me, I'm often having a cup of tea, right? Typically. Yeah, of course. So even having a cup of tea can be an act of self-care. When we say, okay, I'm going to make a cup of tea and I'm going to sit and I'm going to feel the cup and I'm going to sip and I'm going to feel the warmth and I'm going to sit and just breathe. It can literally be 5 minutes just for you with a cup of tea. This is what self-care is all about, is these simple, easy things that you get to do throughout the day to top up your teapot. Okay, this is where transformation starts. This is where transformation starts. And the third thing that we talked about today is how to say no, right? Saying no. So if somebody's inviting you somewhere and you start to feel anxious and you've got this feeling in your gut and your inside voice is like, oh no, I don't have the energy. I don't want to. That person is so draining. That's when we really want to say no. But for many of us, we struggle to do that. And so we just smile, we put on a mask and we're like, okay, sure. Yeah, that sounds great. And then we start beating ourselves up because why'd you say yes? Why do you want to you don't want to spend time with that person. You know you don't want to spend time with that person. But we do this all the time, right? I know I'm not alone in this. So learning to say no to the things that you don't want to do, the things that are causing you anxiety. Why would we choose to do that if we didn't need to? So I want to invite you, and I'm going to drop a link in wherever you're watching this video. I want to invite you to my masterclass this upcoming Saturday, how to easily say no with grace and ease. Ah, doesn't that sound good? Yes, sure does, right? It sure does. So come on in, join me this coming Saturday. You'll get a replay if you can't join live, so just register and you'll get the replay. And let's learn how to say no. Let's learn how to say no. I'm going to be giving you a little sneak peek of what happens inside my group coaching program, Thrivership School, where we actually spend a couple of months on learning how to say no. So you're going to get a sneak peek inside that and some tools that you get to use this holiday season so you can put them into action immediately, right away. Okay? So any questions there for those of you that are on live, any questions on how to preserve these 3 ways to preserve your energy throughout the holidays? I hope that they made sense. Let me know which one you are going to try and start to implement today. Are you going to start to hydrate more? Are you going to have time alone? Or are you going to practice saying no? Let me know. Let me know in the chat. And I will, like I said, put the link in there to join the class. It's free this upcoming Saturday. How to say no with grace and ease. You know I'm British. I'm going to be very polite when I'm saying no. Okay, that's it for today, guys. Again, I am your host, Karin Del Maestro, your health and transformation coach, breast cancer BRCA2 thriver. You can find me hanging out in the breast healthy living after breast cancer Facebook community, and also over in my website, KarinDelMaestro.com. Okay, that's it for today, guys. Oh, Susan, Sharon, before we hop off here, that 1 and 2 are pretty good. 3 is a work in progress. Always is, Susan, right? Progress, not perfection. Perfection is not something we're striving for. All we can do in life is start to keep moving forward on those areas that we need to be focusing on. Okay? Thank you for joining. Have an awesome week. I'll see you next Monday at noon. for Heart to Heart. Bye for now.